Let me first say, by way of announcements, that we are preparing all over the country for our national convention that will be April 2nd through the 5th here in New York. It's free at the Sharpton. And we, at that convention, will be unveiling what we're going to do in terms of the DEI boycott and where we're going in terms of our dealing with economic redress in our community. What people do not understand, we come out of the Dr. Martin Luther King School of Thought in National Action Network, is our tradition started with boycotts. Montgomery bus boycott in '55. Harlem boycott led by Adam Clayton Powell in '42. Because when we did not have the right to vote or have political power, we knew how to organize our economic power. And that gave us leverage, because if you can break their bank, you don't have to change their mind. You change their options by removing your dollars. So there are some people that will never go to a protest, but all they got to do is stop buying from people that disrespect us. Now, some people are already moving, and that's fine. I support all that. I've not called for it. Somebody got on the internet and said, I called for something. I'm calling for everybody to be at the convention. But I'm not against any other effort, because everybody needs to do whatever it is they want to do for the good of the cause. This ain't a Nan thing or a Sharpton thing. This is all of us thing. So people talk about, are you on this side? I'm on everybody's side. And I hope everybody is on our side. So be in New York at the convention. You can go on the website, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call the toll-free number. People are at the phone now, 1-877-626-4651, and we will take your names and register. Why are we registering you? Because the convention's free. We have thousands of people that come. And when you come, if you're already on the list, you are guaranteed you get in the workshops or the events. If you've not put your name on the list, then you gotta hope that the rooms are not full, and they always are full. We had over 9,000 people at our convention last year. And we already have many people coming that will head up our workshops and be here. Our annual dinner this year, we've confirmed one of our honorees will be Patti LaBelle. She'll be there. At our women's luncheon, Tatiana Ali from the French Prince of Bel-Air will be there. And we'll have workshops led by Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, Ben Crump, many of them, and I'll be announced. But don't come to see the celebrities. Don't come to see the stars. Y'all want to see a star? I'm here every Saturday morning. Come to be part of the movement, because we are in more serious times than we've ever been in before in our lifetime. Now, there have been more serious times than this, but now you're going back to reverting back to times that many of us have never seen. So I want to get that out the way. Also, when you see the breakdown, when you've got a government now that are firing people and don't even know who they firing. I mean, I never heard of nothing like this. I was at the gym working out this morning and come across the news. They fired people that worked in the department to deal with nuclear weapons. And they had to go re-hire them because they put the whole country at risk. They find folk that keeping the nuclear defenses up. They just arbitrarily fight. Just a bunch of amateurs in charge of the government. So you're facing a serious problem. I'm going to have some of the members of Congress and some people that expose that on Politics Nation this evening. Don't forget, watch Politics Nation today, 5 o'clock Eastern Time on MSNBC. I'm going to have them on today and then tomorrow dealing with voting rights and what they're doing on other issues. Both nights having senior members of Congress, Senate, and the like. Make sure you watch 5 o'clock Saturday and Sunday so you are informed. And I'm not ashamed on the air. I talk about what's happening in our community. I want to know what's going on broadly, and then I want to know, now, how does that deal with us? Because we live in different worlds in that. Let me also say that it is imperative that as we look at what's going on, that we act after we react. Come on, sir. Just barking at the mirror is not going to change nothing. Just getting mad and calling a talk radio show, even mine, is not going to change anything. You got to be active. That's why we have rallies every Saturday. That's why we have our convention every year and come out with a plan of action. And a lot of people that watch us on Saturday mornings or watch my TV show think that that's activism. No, you're watching or listening to activism. You need to get involved to be active. You know, everywhere I go, people are, Al, I'm with you. Then why don't I see you? You go and tell them, well, come help me tell them. So I think that it is very important we operate from an activist point of view. Now, one of the real problems, I remember Reverend Jesse Jackson, my mentor, used to always say, the problem in slavery and the problem in segregation was that they taught us to adjust to it. Once they taught you how to adjust, they didn't have to beat you anymore. You began to be one that policed your own behavior. You know, first they had to beat some slaves into submission. But after a while, second, third generation, you just behaved that way because you had adjusted to the behavior of being a slave and deferring to the slave master. Same thing in segregation. You didn't even think about it. You just walked to the back of the bus because you had mentally adjusted. And one of the reasons we rally, one of the reasons we work hard is to make sure you don't adjust to this madness that Trump and them are coming out with. I'm concerned about that, Bishop, because I'm seeing people say, well, what Trump do now? Like this is a joke. This ain't no joke. This man is reordering the whole way we deal with the system and our people. And this is not a reality show, it's reality. Right. And if we don't fight back, they will turn around and you will be back where we were in pre-1954. This is not a joke. Everybody act like this is some soap opera. Let me get up and see what Trump did today. Oh, man, ain't he something? Yeah, he's something. He's something that's going to give you a real problem in your life. Anytime you can lay off federal workers who haven't done nothing, anytime you threaten veterans who put their lives on the line for this country, and you normalize that, it's time for people with some backbone to say, I am maladjusted. I'm not adjusting to that. Now, in that, and I want to get to this whole national stuff, but let me address, and y'all watching us around on Impact around the world, let me address something going on local. Because I think that we need to be clear about some stuff. The mayor of New York, Eric Adams, they made a decision in Washington to ask that the charges against him be removed. And in the writing of the order that I read, they did not cite any of the legal reasons. They cited political and policy reasons. Y'all with me? They said that they wanted the mayor to not face trial because the indictment came too close to the primary. Well, the indictment was 9 months before the primary. Congress people run every 2 years. They all start their campaign a year before. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. Then they said that the mayor could not help the president with immigration and violent crime. Now, in the Trump mind, violent crime goes back to stop and frisk.
Come on.
Now, I'm the mayor's friend, been his friend a long time, but I'm not going to be in any way different with the mayor than I'm with anybody else. I have said publicly I disagree on the immigration policy. I think it's immoral I was with Bishop Hyde at St. John the Divine. I spoke the other night. I think it's immoral to say that churches cannot be sanctuaries.
Right.
And you going up in churches and schools is a violation of our civil rights.
Right.
Our board members, Vice Chair Jennifer Jones Austin and Reverend Johnny Green have taken the right position. You cannot desanctify our churches. So I stand with that. Just because I'm someone's friend don't mean I can't disagree. I disagreed on Daniel Penny. I preached the funeral. But let me make this clear too. You cannot petition or make an order to remove something and not give us the legal reasons why you're dismissing charges without us, and this ain't on Eric, this is on Trump and his Justice Department. If you can't give us the legal reasons you want the charges dropped, then are we now in a country where based on policy and politics, you can end indictments? That's the danger here. They keep asking me and Hakeem and Greg Meeks and others, because we gonna have a meeting, what y'all gonna do. First of all, what about the law?
Right.
So they want us, some, to ask Hochul, the governor, to remove Eric. Well, first of all, until the judge rules, until the judge rules, let me get this right. My little sister's over here, she got it right. I want to keep up with me. Until the judge rules, she has no legal basis, because if the judge removes the charges, then she's got to give the reason she's removing him if there are no charges against him. Y'all with me?
Right.
Now, if 100,000 city workers walk off, then she could say the city's not functioning. But don't make this about a battle between Hochul and Eric. It's a battle between Trump and the law.
Right.
That's why they want to scapegoat Damian Williams, who was the first black U.S. attorney that this happened under. Damian Williams ain't not, if he had a conspiracy against somebody, then who else did he conspire against? Don't try to pit brothers against brothers. He been here, he works with us. I know Damian Williams. Let me tell you something. They are going to try to play us against each other. They want you mad at Hochul or dealing with Eric and Trump and all that. The fact of the matter is, if Donald Trump really believed there was a violation here, that it was a political agenda, as he said, that there may be a political agenda here. I don't believe that. Eric believes he was targeted. I told him I believe that I do not believe Biden targeted him. But that's our disagreement. But if Trump believed it, if he believed it, then why didn't he pardon them? He pardoned people that beat law enforcement people on January 6th. He pardoned people that mess with votes. He pardoned hundreds of people. Why, when you got to Eric, all of a sudden you couldn't pardon nobody? That y'all talk about immigration policies and crime. You didn't talk about that with the Proud Boys. You didn't talk about that with Bannon and them. Play the game by one set of rules, Trump. Don't play the black community against each other. And don't y'all get in this okie doke. Come on, sir. The real question is why they playing by two sets of rules. Right. That's the real question. Well, you know, Eric, this, that, and the other. Did you see the film on January 6th? Trump pardoned all of them. All of them. These people urinated in congressmen's offices. Yeah. He pardoned all of that. Called them hostages. And now he turned around trying to hold Eric and the city of New York as hostages. Some of us won't sit by quietly. We're not calling on Hochul. We're calling on Trump to pardon him or leave it alone. You always got to be careful when somebody's feeding you some misinformation. Well, what you think? We should put pressure on? No, we should put pressure on Trump. We have got to understand that they came out with Project 2025, yes, sir. And they meant that. Yes, sir. They got people that helped write that book that's now working in the government. This is about destabilizing. And if they can get the destabilizing of New York and put in a Republican and put in a Republican state attorney general and get rid of Tish James, who still has the suit that has been found proper against the president. He owes $500 million. They'd love to knock her out to reduce that amount with a Republican state attorney general. Quit playing checkers. I'm looking at the chessboard. They want to soften up Hochul so they can soften up the state ticket next year. They get everybody fighting against each other this year. And in the middle, they're going to use Haitians and Mexicans telling black folk they got your job. Then why were we doubly employed for anybody ever came across the Mexican border? Hello? Hello? Look at this here. Donald Trump got up and said that there are whites in South Africa that are being discriminated against. Now, there is a motion in the South African parliament saying that those that have gotten land under apartheid unfairly, they want to repatriate the land. Donald Trump said that those whites can come to the U.S., he'll make them refugees. Right. Did he say it? Yeah, he said it. Bishop Troutman, I wouldn't lie with you in the pulpit. Now, if you don't have room for Haitians, and you ain't got no room for Mexicans, then where did you find room for whites from South Africa? I mean, where you gonna put them, Mr. Trump? And insult to injury, because I try to break this down. You know, one of our mentors, Reverend Jones, used to say you got to bring it low enough where the goats can feed it. I got to bring it down so Tony can understand what I'm saying. Trump says bring the whites in from South Africa. On top of that, he said, let's make Canada, which is overwhelmingly white, a state. And then on top of that, I want Greenland too. Now, maybe I ain't never met no black folk from Greenland, so that's all white. So he want to bring in all these folks and push people of color out and got you running around talking about they our problem. Well, let's go back in history. It's Black History Month. Who made the process of electing a president complicated was the Electoral College. Y'all with me so far? Yeah. Somebody help Tony take some notes. Give him a pencil and an eraser because he can't spell well, so needs an eraser. We brought here 1619 as slaves. They never even declared their independence from King George until 1776, which means we had been slaves over 150 years before they even declared themselves to be free of King George. Imagine that now. They are colonies enslaving us. They'd gone through 3 or 4 generations before they ever declared they wanted to be a nation. In those 3 or 4 generations, they had taught our children they were inferior. They had taken our names. They had taken our culture. They had sold us to different states. They broke us so they could enslave us. That's the facts. Once they had broke us, then they went and declared that they wanted to be a nation. When they got into the formation of the nation in 1787, that's when they wrote the U.S. Constitution. 1787. Now, we've been there since 1619 on the plantation. They rectified it in 1789. Now, how did they satisfy the southern states that were the slave states? They said, well, we will have an electoral college, not the popular vote, so that you can have weight in who will be the president of the United States. That's the history. Now, how are you going to make up for the lack of population in some of the least populated states, many of them the Confederate states? Well, we will allow you to count your slaves as 3/5 of a man. So in Alabama, you had X amount of white men and women, and you could add your blacks that you own as 3/5. And that gave you more seats in the Electoral College. That's where the Electoral College come from. That's why when Joe Biden said we need to change the voting process and judges, and had Mark Morial and I fly with him Air Force One down to Johnson's Library, I wanted to go because there is a historic infrastructural problem with how this is allowed to continue to this day with the Electoral College that was established when we were considered by law 3/5 human. If you understand that, you'll understand that the result of fighting against voting rights, equal rights, started when they never intended for us to vote, because they never intended for us to be full human. Now, imagine this now, kids growing up, white kids, and they're told by law, I ain't talking about grandpa talking crazy because he got old and senile. This is law. They ain't full humans. Well, how do you change that over a period of time? And then you have Electoral College based on that. So we are fighting. That's why I said to deal with this DEI situation. You must be disciplined and do study, because unless you do structural change, we'll keep coming right back to this over and over again. I spoke Wednesday night at Yale University, and I told them students, some of those brightest students in the country, Yale, Harvard, I spoke at Yale, and told them there is a structural problem, which is why Trump and Vance and President Elon Musk they can come in and put us backwards because the structure was never corrected. So they can walk in the door and say NDI, because structurally they can make that stand. We've got to break the corporate world from doing it and then straighten out the structure of how this country is. Why we ought to be sending people to Congress is not sending them to Congress because they had the robocall call your house, but they're committed to the structural change of this country. What Trump is successful on is playing on a weak structure. So he can make it go either way. It should not be so unclear that you can play the game either set away. It must be firm that you got to repair the damage done to the children of the slaves and straighten out the structure that we are not 3/5 human, we are full human beings that built this country and never got paid. That's what reparations is. If you look at this through the wrong lens, you will get the wrong results. You got to look at what's going on in 2025 through the lens of history. Because what's going on in 2025 was set in 1925 and in 1825 and in 1725 and in 1625. This didn't just start. That's why I tell a lot of young activists, don't act like the world started when you was born. Well, man, we need young folk out there. We do. But we need young folk that dwell on the wisdom of those that been here before you. Being young ain't an achievement. You act like you achieved something being young. You were just born last. And you ain't did nothing to get here. Your parents did all the work to get here. And some of us was born to do this work. I tell them all the time, Bishop McKellen, I know I was born to do this work. I was born October 3rd, 1954. That night, Trollinger, the maternity ward, Kings County Hospital, Brooklyn. There was 3 of us in the maternity ward. All of us been born that night. I was born about 10 o'clock. And I was the 3rd baby. There was 2 babies before me as you come in the door. The reason I know I was different is that it got to be late, Richardson, and we all was hungry. We wanted our bottles. And the baby on the far right was a proper Negro baby. He took his little pinky up and tried to get the nurse's attention. He was just kept doing his pinky, saying he wanted the bottle. Nurse kept running back and forth, didn't even look in the room at us. The baby next to him was a little more active, but not quite. He kind of kept kicking at the blanket that the nurse had put on him, but she didn't hear that. So I looked at the pinky baby, and I looked at the blanket baby. And I said, that don't look like it work. So I start kicking and screaming and hollering and crying and throwing the rattle. And the nurse ran in there to see what all the noise is about. So I learned before I got out the hospital that you got to raise some hell up in here. So all y'all going to Washington all quiet, would y'all consider DEI? No. That's why I had the convention. I'm the baby that kicked the blanket. I know how to get your attention. Yeah, y'all call me loudmouth. That's right. I'm a loudmouth. I also get the bottle when I want it to. And this is going to call for that kind of activism now. We're going to need those that do the inside stuff, those that do the legislative stuff, but those that know how to turn up the heat in the pulpit and in the streets. We need all of that. Well, I don't know why you say we need the black church, because you need the basis of our movement was always our spiritual power. That we believed that God would make a way. If you just believed in man's strength alone, Trump can overpower you. But if you know that there is a God that sits high and look down low, and there's a God that the courts can't trick, that the money can't buy, and that if God be for me, I don't care what Trump do. I don't care what Elon Musk do. If God be for me. I was thinking the other day, every morning I get up and do meditation and then go and work out. And I was thinking the other day, I was reading that scripture, challenge about the transfiguration. And you know, I used to hear preachers say they would love to talk to this one or that one or communicate this one or that one. And I thought about, I would love to talk to James and John. Jesus went up on the mountain and he brought his disciples with him. And the Bible said they went to sleep. James and John. And I would really want to know, why did you go to sleep when Jesus was going up to do something that we never understood all that happened because y'all were asleep? Now, they said that they appeared to be that he was talking to Moses and Elijah. I wonder what Moses and Elijah told Jesus. Jesus, Son of God, why would he need to talk to Moses and Elijah? We'll never know, because the disciples were asleep. Maybe Moses told them, don't worry about Calvary, because at the Red Sea, God, your father, made a way for me. We'll never know. Maybe Elijah told them, to appoint your disciples carefully. I had to throw mine on Elisha. We don't know what kind of counsel he got. We don't know the reason he went up there. Did they bless him? Did they prepare him? When he came later and said, are you prepared to drink of this cup? Did they tell him, you got to drink of the cup? We'll never know, because the disciples were asleep. I come to tell you today that while Trump is trying to roll back time, the disciples are asleep. Y'all are sleeping through a revolution. You run around here talking about how much money Musk got. You run around here talking about how strong Trump is. You're sleeping through a revolution. You're trying to give people a way out rather than to dig in. Preachers talking about feel good. Get in the mirror and repeat these affirmations. I don't care what you repeat in the mirror. It ain't going to change your situation till you get up and do something. I watch some of these preachers, it gets me sick. Touch somebody and tell them so-and-so. Don't touch me, you might get slapped back. I want to know what we're going to do about this. God is speaking to us, but you sleep. Just like Jesus went and conferred with Moses and Elijah, we need to confer with Martin and Malcolm and Rosa Parks. Let those that are gone past confer with us like Elijah and Moses conferred with Jesus, and they would tell us if we stand up, God will hold us up. Y'all asleep, but I've been talking to the ancestors, and they told me that God will make a way for his children. I've been talking to the ancestors. They said that the race isn't given to the swift, nor to the strong, but those that will hold out to the end. I've been talking to the ancestors. Y'all asleep, but the ancestors told me there is a God that'll make a way for his children. He walks with me. He talks with me. Tells me I'm his own. We need our own moments of transfiguration. While you sitting around here talking about how hard times are, why don't we look up and talk to Harriet Tubman? And she'll say we were slaves, didn't know our names, didn't know where mama was sold to. But I decided that I would build a railroad and build this underground, because I learned how to use my hands. I learned how to navigate nature. And I built an underground railroad and brought hundreds of slaves to freedom. They gave me an award one day, Rev Mal, because I built the underground railroad and took 500 slaves to freedom. And as I accepted the award, I said I could have brought more if I could have convinced them they were slaves. They were asleep at the Transfiguration. Frederick Douglass, slave, ran off the plantation, made it to Maryland, and became one of the biggest abolitionists. He'll tell you I was illegal till I was an old man. I had to run and leave the country because I had conferred with John Brown. And they were after all of us that had conferred with John Brown. But I lived, Reb Al, to the day that I could walk in the White House and talk to Abe Lincoln on behalf of my people. You gonna go through a bumpy road, but if you hold on, you'll make it anyhow. I wish I could talk to Douglas. I wish I could talk to Dr. King, who said, yeah, I just went to Memphis to help some garbage workers. Man blew my brains out for standing up for the least of these, but don't worry about being shot down, Mal. Every city you go in now, there's a Martin Luther King Boulevard. There's a statue on the Potomac River. God will take the last and make them first. God will prepare a table for your enemies. In the presence of your enemies, stand up, black man. Wake up, black woman. Yeah, it's time to be woke. Don't sleep through the transfiguration. God is speaking in Black History Month. It is our day. It is our time. God will make a way. Yes, he will. Because he lives. It don't make a lot of sense. I can't give you the strategy. I'm going to give it by the convention. I can't tell you where all of the dots connect. But because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, I ain't scared. I know they're going to try to mess with everybody, But all doubts and fears is gone because he lives. Everybody in here today, everybody watching me on Impact, on National Action Network's live stream, or listening on BLS, whatever you're afraid of, I want you to get it in your head right now and cast it out. We got to work on being fearless. Got to work on being fearless. You can't, fear and faith can't stay in the same place. Yeah, I get upset, I get nervous, but my faith cancels out my fear because he lives.